Switching gears, gents, to Liverpool against Arsenal. Massive game at Anfield this weekend in the title battle. Main question, Nick Mendola, is how can the Gunners be stopped? I mean, they head to Liverpool absolutely on fire. They've won 7 games in a row in the Premier League since they lost to Manchester City. This is an easy win for Arsenal, isn't it?
Oh, boy. What a way to say it. What a way to say it, Joe. I was ready to answer your question until you put me in that spot. Look, they are on a hot streak, playing no one again. And so I don't think it's that impenetrable. It's nothing against Leeds. It's nothing against Palace. It's nothing against Fulham and Bournemouth. I understand they're desperate teams, and Arsenal should get credit for beating them soundly. I mean, most of these, they're scoring 3 goals. They're scoring 4 goals a game. And they did that all while mixed in with this very disappointing 2 legs against Sporting in the Europa League. The only reason I'm agreeing with your question is because Liverpool. I mean, what is this club right now? You don't know what you're going to get, and frankly, there's a part of me that wanted to lead off this segment saying easy 3-0 for Liverpool because that's what they do. And they still have Mo Salah. It's not even, is it even a month since they hung 7 on the board against their most hated rival? I don't think it's even been a month. So what am I supposed to say that can't happen? I guess. I don't know. What an infuriating team. The team with, I think I've said this before, but this is the team that we refer to as the mentality monsters, and we don't know what they're going to enter any given game with mentality-wise. So I think it should be a close win for Arsenal because it's at Anfield, and I don't think Anfield has quit on Liverpool as much as Liverpool's quit on its own season. But you could convince me that anything's going to happen.
Yeah, Andy, I mean, Nick put it brilliantly. Liverpool are the most Jekyll and Hyde team that's in the Premier League right now. I was at the heavy defeat to Man City in the end last weekend at the Etihad, but for the first 45 minutes, I mean, they went ahead. Yeah. They had some chances to maybe go further ahead as well. It looked really good on the counter. And then they just collapsed in the second half. They seemed very brittle. And I spoke to Van Dijk afterwards in the press area, and he was very downbeat and said, we're going to have some harsh words. We're grown men. We got to figure it out. I asked him about the top 4 chances, and he's like, let's just game by game. I mean, and Klopp hasn't been mincing his words either. He's been talking a lot about individuals and about how many players he thinks are playing up to their standards right now. So for Liverpool, it's a really bad end to the season. They've been up and down all season long. The fact that they're so far off of Arsenal, Man City at the top of the title, no one saw this coming this season after they nearly won it all last year. So for Liverpool, is it almost better to, like Klopp did in midweek against Chelsea, rotate a lot of the players in, see if they're good enough maybe for next season? He's admitted he's got cash in the bank, and he's probably only still around because of his previous success at Liverpool. So Klopp knows he's maybe going to be there next season. So this season, I feel like it's better for them to not worry about qualifying for the Europa League, because I feel like top 4 is kind of out of reach for them now. So do they almost just use the rest of the season trying to figure things out and plan ahead for next season? Or do you think they just have to keep going for it and see if they can somehow sneak in the top 4?
Yeah, he's been there forever. Most of the players have been there forever. He knows what he's got. They know what the situation. I don't feel like there's a ton to gain or learn from trying something new for them. Between their new is they need to replace most of the back line and 2/3 of the midfield in the summer. That's the new thing that they need to try. And obviously you can't do that until the summer. And so if they could push their way into, I do think there is value in remaining in European competition, even a club of Liverpool's size, being in the Europa League, having that not only to attract players, but to keep within the schedule of having midweek games during the group stage and the knockout rounds. It also, and I know nobody cares about this, it also helps the coefficient a little bit for how you get seeded into group stage draws and all of those things. And just remaining at the or one of the top levels of football in the game, I think for just the way it looks at Liverpool, I think is important as well. But to Nick's point, they beat United 7-0. They've scored 1 goal in 3 games since. They've lost both of them. One of them to Bournemouth. Like, mentality monsters. I'm glad you bring that up a lot. I'm glad you do, because I think there's no bigger difference in where Liverpool are at right now and where Liverpool have been than what the mentality is, because the mentality right now is so weak they score the first goal against City the way that they do. They give one up and they fold. They scored the first goal against United. United didn't hit back with a strong response the way that City did, and they go on to do what they did. They score the 7 goals. When things are going well for this team, they're fine. Okay, we will take it. We'll accept it. It's almost like it's happening to them or for them, not something of their doing. And then they go and they face a little bit of adversity, the way that they did against Real Madrid, the way that they did against Manchester City, even against Bournemouth, where they're down for the majority of that game, and they just don't ever look like getting back into it. Like, there is something completely off mentally about this team and the way that they don't believe in themselves anymore. They had that us against the world because the manager had given them that mentality in every locker room speech and every press conference and every interview that he ever did was, we are the bad guys. Everybody hates us because we are the best. And now nobody there believes that. I think they get the feeling that this entire cycle, and it's been made very clear this season to me, this cycle has ended and it's time for something new. Whether that means a new manager or not, probably Klopp will continue to get the opportunity to do that next project. We will see.
Yeah, we will see. But it's been almost fatigue, right, for Liverpool, it feels like. So it seems like that end of that cycle the last few years, it happened before as well, when they just struggled to make the top 4 a few years ago. So it's almost going in cycles for this Liverpool team, successful, and then they're just winding down on this one, and then waiting for some big reinvestment beyond this. But when we look at Arsenal, are there any weaknesses in this Arsenal team? Because we said before how good Saka, Odegaard, Gabby Jesus coming back, how strong they've been defensively. It seems like the only people who are going to beat Arsenal the rest of the season and cost them the title is themselves right now, because at the moment, nobody can really hang with them.
Just an incredible sense of belief in that team right now. And you have to give Arteta so much credit for it. And also, I want to give Arsenal's higher ups credit for it, for continuing to ride with a guy who at times looked cooked. He wasn't, obviously, and they had to know that. But from the outside, how many times did we honestly think, you know what? I don't think they'd fire him here, but if they did, you've seen weirder things. They are, again, the mentality monsters part, that is taken, that is trademarked, I'm sure. I don't want to get sued by Mr. Klopp. But you could not have 2 different teams here. And I would say, when I look at what Liverpool's done this year in terms of, like, they're bottom third, I think, in expected goals against. They're actually out kicking their coverage there. They should be comfortably mid-table and nowhere else right now. Arsenal, on the flip side, is just kind of doing the darn thing. And I think the biggest thing you can give them credit for is whether it's Martinelli as a focal point, Saka as a focal point, Jesus as a focal point now. I mean, what an addition he is for late in the season, to have him come back and be arguably the player he was early in the season. And I mean, Odegaard is basically like the chef who goes into your local supermarket and they're like, you know what? We're going to let the shop, you're the only one here. Pick whatever ingredients you want, bro. Yeah. Just go to work. He is carving up teams. It's the perfect mix. It's just they have a stretch coming up, and we'll talk about that in weeks ahead. But for now, going back to your first question, this shouldn't be a question. This should be an away win at Anfield, which every team would love to celebrate.
Yeah, so it seems like right now Arsenal have no weaknesses whatsoever. So let's see how they fare at Anfield, and let's see how that holds them going ahead to this massive, massive end of the season for them. Andy, what's your score prediction for Liverpool against Arsenal?
A comfortable 2-0. I don't buy the fight in being in Liverpool at this point of the season. Anfield will try its best, but to Nick's point, Arsenal are they're overwhelming is what they are. They're not just good, they're not great. They are overwhelming in the way that they play. And for a team like Liverpool that's in the place that they are mentally, that's a nightmare.
Nick?
Listen, there's a puncher's chance whenever Mohamed Salah is involved. And I think he's still been very, very good this year, if a little unlucky. So there's a part of me that wants to say this is 1-1, but I'm going to say 2-1 to Arsenal.
I was going to say 2-1 to Arsenal. I think I'm going to be brave here and go for a draw. I'm going to go 2-2. I think the only slight weakness I've seen in Arsenal is they do still give up big chances, and they conceded goals to Villa and Bournemouth, and I think that just creeps into their game from time to time. So I'm going with 2-2, just rooting for chaos a little bit to make it even more interesting in the title race. But it would not surprise me if Arsenal win easily at Liverpool, given the state that they're in at this stage of the season. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the information on Liverpool against Arsenal. Massive game at Anfield this weekend. Let's see if Arsenal can make it 8 straight wins in the Premier League and keep setting the pace at the top of the table. But Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, they've done it in the past. They always seem to surprise us when nobody quite expects it, and are on a downward spiral right now. Let's see if they can cause Arsenal a few problems. But Mikel Arteta's Gunners, they're looking very good to win their first title in over 19 years.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.